Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Mysterio from the Lizard Build-A-Figure wave of Spider-Man Marvel Legends. And this is one that I've been really looking forward to. I've always liked Mysterio, at least not always, but since he was in the 90s cartoon, and we never really got a great figure for him. I think the Toy Biz one is somewhat overlooked. I think it's a pretty solid figure, but it's nice to finally get a new one, though it's not quite the look I was hoping for. It's pretty darn close, and it's mostly a pretty darn good figure with just a few really irritating things, so we'll talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands almost exactly 17 centimeters to the top of his dome, which makes him about 6 and let's say 5/8, 6 and 5/8 roughly. And it's, look at that, new sculpt all the way around. I don't think we saw this checker pattern anywhere else. So that's pretty cool. It would have been nice if he wasn't so skinny front to back. They still haven't really fixed that issue, but otherwise, the anatomy's pretty nice. I like the overall shape of him. The one gripe I have with the anatomy is his legs seem a little bit short, or maybe more accurately, his arms seem a little bit too long. There's something going on there. It looks a little bit like the old original Marvel Legends Iron Man proportions. So it's not a huge deal, though, especially once you pose his arms a little bit, it won't be a problem. But his legs seem just a tiny bit short. Otherwise, it's all green plastic. All plain, no paintwork anywhere here at all. Just a little bit of paintwork on the gauntlets. So that's definitely a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for a little bit more instead of just a solid hunk of plastic, pretty much. But they did redeem themselves in a couple of ways. First of all is in the accessory department. We have these two little kind of effect part thingies with some like tentacles and spiders and things. But the thing I really like about these is that they're frosted, so they have a really cool smoky kind of effect. It's a very well executed thing. I have one spot where it didn't get any paint on it, so it's just clear, but otherwise it looks really good, so I love that. And then the other thing they did really, really nicely is the frosted dome, and underneath the dome we have the head with the grossness inside, which is just really cool. Hopefully you can see that. Let me put my hand on there so you can see it a little bit better. So you have a skull with the open mouth and the tentacle going around it, and that's very nicely done. It's like this pearlescent, translucent plastic. Very cool. Dome is nice and translucent, but still frosty, so that's very cool. They painted the clasps, or whatever you want to call these, on the cape, so that's very cool. And then the whole cape is textured, which is just fantastic. That brings so much to the figure. It's not on the back, it's only on the front. And then the overall cape flow is just really, really well done. But they did the same damn thing they've done with capes so many times, is that when you peg it into the back, it doesn't sit on the figure properly. Look at that. It sits way off of his chest and looks goofy as hell. I don't like that. They shouldn't be doing it. It's easy to fix. All they have to do to fix it, if you didn't see my other review, I'll show you right now. Sculpt it so that it is pinched. Okay? Mold it pinched. Then when you peg it into his back, the body will pull the cape out so that it fits perfectly on the figure. Nothing's going to be floating off the chest. It's just so frustrating that you can't get a cape to sit properly. Now what you can do is not peg it in, and because the peg is still back there, it kind of forces it to his chest, but it still sits kind of funny. It's just not quite right. So it's a shame that they screwed up something like that when like they put so much effort into this, clearly, with the dome being a separate piece, and it's just such a nice cape. They just screwed up the way it connects, unfortunately. As far as the articulation goes on this guy, the head goes back pretty far, goes forward pretty far, full rotation. And it doesn't really lean side to side at all. It's just the rotation and the leaning forward and back. For the shoulders, we get really good range, better than horizontal. No problems at all there. Full rotation. Bicep swivel is good. Double jointed elbow works mostly pretty well. It's a little cumbersome with those gauntlets, but that's to be expected, so I think that's okay. I do like the sculpt on the gauntlets. Then the wrists have a swivel and a hinge. Ab crunch on this guy is one notch back, kind of oddly sculpted, but not too bad. It does have the checkerboard going all the way up, and it leans forward pretty well too, so that's good. Waist twist is good. The hips go, yeah, pretty far forward. They do fling out to the side just a touch, but mostly they're pretty straight. Really nice splits right there. Thigh swivel is good. Double jointed knees work nicely. We do have a boot swivel, so if you like that, it's there, and if you don't like it, don't use it. Toe, or the ankle hinge, doesn't bring the toe very far forward, does go all the way back, and then we do have our little swivel hinge ankle rocker in there, which is okay. Now we do have a few loose joints in the ankle area, that's pretty loose, but otherwise it's really good, and I think this is one of the better looking molds. It's unfortunate that it's got the checkerboard pattern on there, because obviously that's going to be pretty limiting in terms of what we can use it for later, but it's a pretty solid mold. I hope they kind of bring this type of anatomy forward. He could definitely use smaller feet though. Well, whatever. It's typical Hasbro sculpting, so it's mostly good, but there are some issues. I think overall it's a really solid figure. You know, there are some problems. Can't ignore them, but well, you can. If you choose to, you can ignore them, and then you'll enjoy your figure. And I do recommend it. So there you go. I'm gonna ignore them, and I'm gonna enjoy the figure. So. Yeah, some problems, easy to overlook. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and in the meantime, keep collecting.